Hi everyone, welcome back to the Art of Scumming. Today we are going to be looking at Skaven Army Compositions 3. This is the weapons team video, and I think that there's a lot of controversy when it comes to weapons team because there's a lot of versatility in weapons team army, but I think that at its heart it has a composition centered around defensive play. You set up a defensive position, you get the enemy to come to you, and you shred it, so that you can fight multiple battles over and over again. However, there are a few minor things that you can do with weapons teams in a pinch. Now, this is a look at an army that I did in defense of a settlement. So basically, we had a revolt pop up, and in one turn, I basically put together this thing to defend it against a rebel army that's had 2 turns to prepare. And what we're going to do is use the weapons teams in a concealed position and use our Lord to draw them in. And the idea is to bog them down with menace blows, magic, etc., while the weapons teams do their work. And the name of the game when it comes to weapons team is give the weapons team time to shoot. And if you've built the army around that concept, you will see that they're pretty effective. If you get rushed, and if you get units tied in with your weapons team, you're toast. So this first composition is made up of 3 Rattling guns, 4 Jezzails. Again, this was recruited in 1 turn to basically defend a position. And then, of course, our Lord that we're using here is the Warlock Master on a Doom Wheel, and he's on the Doom Wheel for speed. He can basically zip around the battlefield casting spells, hitting infantry to tie it up, and then if they have flying units, he can cast Howling Warp Gale to stop that unit in flight. Again, just holding back the enemy infantry and cavalry and monsters to give our weapons teams time to shoot. Skipping forward to the army losses, and you can see that we barely used any of our ammunition. We'll allow these units to continue to shoot until all the enemies are out of range to maximize those kills. And we can use menace blows and various other things to run down those units if we so choose, but really the damage has been done here. This is a rebellion army, so it's not really necessary. We can just fight it again. So now we're going to go towards our second composition. This would be a more full build. And what we're going to do is basically set up the Rattling guns on the high ground with some war fire throwers behind our Storm Vermin. Now, in my opinion, this is a terrible matchup. We're going up against Lizardmen. Lizardmen have a very versatile roster. It's very full with flyers, monstrous infantry, monsters, armored infantry, good range. There's just a lot going on, and because they have such a versatile roster, I think the Skaven really struggle against them. And again, the name of the game is hold the enemy back long enough for the weapons teams to do their damage. And you're going to find that in a composition like this, it's pretty difficult to do against something like the Lizardmen. So here's the thing. This army did a decent job. It's going to take a turn or two to replenish, but you can see here, we've got other armies that are coming in here, and this army is not going to be able to handle multiple turns in a row of this kind of abuse. So if those last 2 armies were crap, why did I show them to you? That's because, in my opinion, this is the form and function of the weapons team army. This is the creme de la creme. This is the basis you should use to set up your weapons team's armies. And of course, this is an army that many of you have seen before. This is not one that I came up with. This is one that I stole from Legend of Total War. I've done a few things to it, but basically the main form and function is going to be the same. And you can plug and play what you have available and cater to your playstyle. So what we have here is a Gracier-led army. You could swap this guy for a Warlock Master if you cared. Probably on that Doom Wheel to keep him running around and abusing the enemy army. We have 3 Plague Priests. We have a Warlock Engineer to expand ammunition stores, and of course our Assassin for casualty replenishment. 5 Rattling guns, 4 Jezzails, 1 Poison Wind Mortar, and 4 Plague Claw catapults. This is an anti-infantry machine. We're going to set up our defensive position here. You can see that everything is stratified, so everything can shoot over. And while this is a dwarf army, which is going to be fairly slow, it has those 3 ancestor heroes for Clan Skryre in it, so it's going to be a fairly tanky army. The idea, again, hold the enemy back until the weapons teams can do their damage. And to do that, instead of using expensive infantry, we're going to use summons in the form of those vermintides from the Plague Priests. You can see that I put 1 on either side and 1 in the center. The idea that at any point in time, if my guys get in trouble, I can pop a vermintide down, get some clan rats on the field to hold the enemy back. The Jezzails do good work on infantry, but I use them most often to snipe enemy heroes and lords. They can be good focusing on single entity monsters, but they soak up a lot of ammunition and they take a little bit of time to take them down, where you might be better off smashing a lord or hero, allowing the rattling guns to focus down any of those monsters. Right now we're playing as Clan Skryre, but this army gets absolutely ridiculous if you're playing as a claw. When it comes to micro, the thing that I find with this army that you have to pay pretty close attention to is your poison wind mortar. You want to make sure that it is focusing on targets that aren't up close to your weapons teams, because it's not a super accurate weapons team, and because of that it can do a lot of damage to your own units. In addition to the Plague Priests, ordering extra Menace Belows can help you tie up those backline units, and of course you should focus fire with your artillery on those units to wipe them out. It doesn't really matter if you do any damage to those summons. We don't have any flyers in this army to showcase it, but the Warlock Engineer will be equipped with Howling Warp Gale to tie up any of those units in the air. And if you're getting bogged down with a whole bunch of infantry, say you're fighting a high numbers faction like the Beastmen or other Skaven clans, or just a whole bunch of zombies, you can stack Blessed with Filth from the Plague Priests onto those rattling guns, and it will slow the enemy down when they're hit. As you can see, minor damage, and we took down all 3 of those ancestor heroes. In my opinion, the reason this army is superior to just about everything else in the game is because it can fight so many battles over and over again without taking a whole bunch of casualties, because really the balance of power in the army is based on its ammunition. So as long as you don't get entities killed, you can fight the next battle as though you didn't fight a previous one. So anyway, to wrap this video up and the series up, the weapons team army composition like this can be tweaked. You can use more Plague Priests, you can use more Warlock Engineers, you can use Packmasters if you so choose. You can substitute beam cannons for the catapults. You can put more poison wind mortars in if you want. But really, the basic form is going to be the same, and it's just the small tweaks really depend on you and your playstyle. And I think that this is the pinnacle of Skaven army. So thanks for watching The Art of Safe Scumming. I hope that you enjoyed this one. And if you got ideas for other series in the future, sound off in the comment section down below, and I'll see if I can get to it.